Quick disclaimer, I'm not very good at pronouncing Asian words, so if that's going to be a problem for you, I recommend not watching this video. Anyway, today is I've sort of got down what I want to do from now on, so I'm going to read probably about 3 chapters first, maybe. We'll see how that goes. And then I'm going to add to our predictions of the progress of the story. But we're going to read, obviously, chapter 2 to 4, which is the Duroki continent, followed by guests, followed by faction of the Misty Clouds. Alright, let's get into chapter 2. And I'm going to say, sorry for any mispronounce, just not saying the things very good. Anyway, you've been warned, I suppose. Chapter 2, Duroki Continent. The moon was like a silver plate and the stars filled the sky. At the summit of the cliff, Zhao lay on the grass, and in his mouth was a strand of green grass. He chewed it slightly and let the bitterness spread into his mouth slowly. He raised his white palm and put it in front of him, blocking the moon and only letting some moonlight pass through the gaps between his fingers. He looked at the giant circular silver moon in the sky. Thinking back at the testing in the afternoon, Zhao sighed lightly. He lazily pulled his hand back and rested both hands on his head. He looked absent-minded. 15 years already, huh? A soft voice that suddenly was spat out from the young teen without any warning. In Zhao mind, there was a secret that only he himself knew. He wasn't a person from this world. More accurately, his soul wasn't from this world. He was from a deep blue star called Earth. As for the unexplained mystery of why he would be here, he himself had no clue. However, after living here for some time, he slowly realized he passed through to the other side. As he grew older, he slowly came to understand bits and pieces of this continent. This continent was called the Duroki continent. On the continent, there wasn't many tales of magic uses and their effects, but rather Daoki was the main star. On this big piece of land, the training of Daoki had become commonplace after the hard work of countless individuals who continued to train beyond generations, expand the knowledge surrounding Daoki all the way to the top. Daoki and mankind are one and the same in everyday life and such. Daoki is extremely important in this continent. It could be called irreplaceable. As the number of levels in Daoki kept increasing, so did the number of ways to train it. Some were better than others as expected. After going through a system of analysis, the Daoki rankings in the Daoki continent got split into 4 different classes: Qian, Di, Zuan, Huan, Qiang. I don't know how to say that either, but it's okay. And every class was split further into beginner, medium, and high ranks. The Daoki techniques you learned also determined how strong you would be. For example, if a person practiced a Zuan class medium rank technique, he would naturally be stronger than a person who practiced a Huan class high rank technique. In the Daoki continent, to differentiate the strong from the weak, there are 3 criteria that needed to be looked at. First was also the most important, is your natural body strength. If a person only has a 1-star level of strength, even if he practiced the Qian class high rank techniques, he wouldn't be able to beat a Huan class combat master. Next is technique level. If 2 people the same innate strength were to battle, the one with the better technique would obviously win. Lastly is Dao technique. Dao technique is a special kind of skill that is used when controlling Daoki. And in the land of Daoki, Dao technique is also separated into Shuan, Di, Zuan, Huan. Duroki continent speaks for itself, but Dao technique is different. Almost everyone starts off with the Dao technique class of Huan. If you wanted to learn more advanced control skills, you would need to join a sect or enroll in a Dao technique school. Of course, there are some who, by chance, manage to learn the skills that others have left behind. Of those who have compatible Dao techniques, for those for these people, their combat level might be slightly higher than normal. Relying on these three aspects, you can determine who is stronger and who is weak. All in all, if you manage to learn a high-level Dao technique, the benefits in the future would be enormous. However, high-level Dao techniques are really hard to come by as a commoner. Those that are open to the public are normal Huon class techniques. For the bigger clans or smaller sects, Zhuan class techniques are the norm. For example, in Xiaoyan's clan, the highest level technique was only practiced by the clan leader, the Lion Wind Strike. It was a wind-style Zhuan class medium-rank Dao technique. Up above the Zhuan class would be the D class. I don't know. I said it well before, but I'm going to say Dai class. But this kind of high-level technique might only attainable by a powerful country-like organization. As for the Xian class, in the 100 years, it hasn't appeared once. As previously stated, commoners trying to get a high-level technique is trying to climb a mountain without gear. However, nothing is absolute. In the world of Daoqi, there are thousands of clans. In the north, there are people referred to as unbeatable. They fuse their souls with animals and become barbarians. In the south, there are smart, intelligent, high-class beast spirit clans, and even the strange and infamous underworld people. Because of the vastness of the continent, there are bound to be a case of nameless figures who by chance happened upon a miracle that made them strong, or perhaps there might be people who are bound by fate to discover strong techniques in the land of Daoqi. There is once a famous sentence: if you find yourself struck in a ditch or forsaken by the world, don't panic. Take 2 steps forward, and maybe you'll find yourself stronger than ever before. Of course, though this line isn't false, in thousands of years of history in the continent, there aren't many stories of people getting strong by random chance. As a result of this, every day there are countless individuals who try to break through and discover a new skill or technique, but instead only return with a broken hip or leg. All in all, this continent is full of mysteries and miracles. To access the Vault of Secrets Daoqi techniques, you must be at least a full-fledged Daoqizer to meet the basic requirements. For Xiaoyan, it seems so far away. Xiaoyan spat the grass out of it and quickly stood up and made a maniacal face. I don't know that word. I haven't seen it before in a while. He faced the sky and shouted, "God damn it! How could I be played for a fool like this?" In the past lives, Xiaoyan was a mediocre, average commoner. Wealth, fame, and beauty seemed to run parallel to his life, never intersecting it. Then, when it came to this continent, Xiaoyan was shocked because of a second set of experience. His spirit became much stronger than an average person. It must be known that the Daoqi continent, your spirit is decided upon birth. Maybe as you grew older, it would strengthen a slight bit, but there is no known technique to strengthen your spirit to become stronger. It was Xiaoyan's strong spirit that gave him his talent as well as his fame as a genius. For an average person, if they were told that they could be a genius, there's little doubt that they would claim their fame and live the high life. For the run-of-the-mill person like Xiaoyan, when he started training his Daoqi Qi, the temptation of being able to rise to fame would be unbearable. Of course, he wouldn't choose to stay hidden and continue to train. If there wasn't an incident, Xiaoyan could perhaps grow even more with his genius label. Unfortunately, at 11, his label was stolen from him in one night. A genius turned to a piece of trash. After shouting at the top of his lungs for a while, Xiaoyan finally calmed down, and his face turned calm again. No matter how angry he got, he wouldn't be able to get back his strength. Bitterly shaking his head, Xiaoyan felt miserable. He had no choice, had no clue what happened to his body, and nothing seemed out of the ordinary. His spirit was growing as he aged, as expected. His absorption of Daoqi Qi was also extraordinarily fast. It was faster than the strongest fighter from a few years back. All of these factors should have meant that Xiaoyan was a natural genius, but all the Daoqi he absorbed seemed to be completely gone. His self-esteem took a big hit, and he could only felt depressed. Taking another deep breath, Xiaoyan raised his hand. On his finger was a black ring of simple design. The material used to make it was unknown. On it was some small markings as well. There was only a present his late mother gave him before passing away. He started wearing it since the age of 4, and even now, 10 years later, he was still wearing it. It was a precious gift from his mother, and Zion treasured it dearly. He rubbed the ring and said bitterly, "These few years I've really let mother down, huh?" Sighing deeply, Zion quickly stood up and turned around, saying to the black figure from the woods, "Father, why have you come?" Though his Dao Ze Ki was only 3rd stage, his spiritual awareness was akin to that of a 4-star Dao Ze, perhaps even better. While thinking about his mother, he felt a sudden disturbance from the woods. "Haha, Yan, it's already quite late. Why are you still here?" From within the clutter of trees, after a moment of silence, a tender voice sounded. The trees shaked a little, and a middle-aged man jumped out, face smiling wildly. His eyes were locked onto his son under the moonlight. The middle-aged man was wearing an expensive-looking grey tunic. He walked with pride and dignity, and his face showed it. He was the Zaya clan leader, as well as Zion's father, a 5-star Dao Shi Zaya Zuan. Zaya Zan? Zaya Han. I should say Zaya Zan. "Father, why have you not returned to rest yet?" Facing the middle-aged man, Zion's smile thickened. Although he had another set of memories when he was born, the person before him treated him with love and care. When he lost his power and spirit, the love did not lessen, but grew instead. This poked at Zion's heart, making Zion's recognize him as his father. "Yana, you were still thinking about what happened this afternoon." Taking a big step forward, Zion's smiled again. "Well, what's there to think about? It's within my expectations." Zion shook his head and forced a smile. Looking at Zion's tender face, Zion's let out a sigh. The both of them sinked into a silence for a while, before Zion's said, "Yana, you're 15 now, aren't you?" "Yes, father." "Just one more year, and you'll have to attend the adulthood ceremony," Zion said. "Yes, father. Only 1 year left." Zion's fist clenched for a while before he replied, but he was extremely clear what the adulthood ceremony meant. Once the ceremony had passed, for the Zions that didn't train, he would be subject to the criteria of searching for Dao Ki techniques. Because he was so weak, he would be sent to do a normal job in the other parts of the Zaya clan. This was a clan rule, and even if the clan leader was his father, he would not be able to do anything about it. If one didn't reach Dao Ze by the age of 25, the clan would abandon them. "Sorry, Anna. If you didn't reach the Dao Ze Ki 7th stage by the next year, I can't do anything to help you, no matter how much I want to. In this clan, if not the sole decision maker, there's also the old geezers waiting for me to make a mistake." Looking at the peaceful Zaya's son's voice guiltily. "Father, I will continue to work hard. 1 year later, I'll definitely reach Dao Ze Ki's 7th stage." Zion's reassured his father. 4 stages in 1 year? If it were me before, it may have been possible, but now I might not make much of a chance. Though Zion was trying to reassure his father, he himself was bitter about it. Knowing full well Zion's position, Zion could only answer with a sigh. He knew that 4 stages of Dao Ze Ki in a year was extremely difficult. He gently patted Zion's head and smiled, saying, "It's getting late. You should go back and get some rest. Tomorrow the clan has a guest and you shouldn't miss the ceremony." "Guest who?" Zion asked, full of curiosity. "You'll find out tomorrow." Zion's winked at the restless Zion's, leaving the big smile on his face. "Don't worry, father. I'll work really hard." Zion rubbed the simple ring and raised his head and whispered. Just when Zion raised his head, the black ring on his finger suddenly lit up in a mysterious glow and flash. Blinking, Zion realized it wasn't a person. That's chapter 2. Let's go to chapter 3. Guest. A young man was meditating on his bed. In front of him, his hands were clasped in a weirdly yet relaxed manner. His chest peacefully rose and fell with the rhythm of his breath. Everything was just so natural. With every breath he took, a pale white stream of what seemed to be air darted into the young man's nose and mouth, squeezing into his body and reshaping it. As the young man was meditating, a strange yet dim sparkle appeared for a brief moment on the plain black ring that he wore around his finger. Whew. The young man slowly let out his breath and opened his eyes, blinking. A pale white light flashed across his black pupils. That was Dao's ki that had just been absorbed, but not yet fully refined, or completely refined. It took such a great effort to him to get the Dao ki, but fuck. It's disappearing again. No, please no. The young man tried desperately to keep the disappearing Dao ki from slipping away, but to no avail. As the last sliver of Dao ki left his body, the young man's face changed from being calm to one of anger and despair, and his voice rose with fury. He curled his hands into a fist and then rapidly clenching and unclenching them. Eventually, his visage transmitted from extreme anger to a false grin. After all, there was nothing he could do about it. Warily, he dragged his body off the bed and stretched his numb legs. With only dark hair of stage 3, such menial matters were always present. After having done a few exercises in the plain room, an old wizened voice sounded outside the door. "Young master, the clan leader has requested your presence in the hall." The young man was the third son of the clan leader, Zayan, a clan header. Okay. Zayan, above him were 2 brothers, but they had already left the clan in the search of an adventure. Only at the end of each year would they come back and meet their family. Overall, the 2 brothers were extremely nice to their little brother, Zayan, even when he fell from being a genius to a piece of trash. Coming, Zayan changed his clothes and went out. Outside his room was an elder in a green robe. "Let's go." Looking at the young man's fresh face, the elder nodded his head. But when he turned around, his eyes showed a flash of regret. If the young master had his former talent, he probably would have been a great Daozi. Such a waste. The elder and the young man had crossed through the backyard and finally arrived suddenly at the welcoming hall. After politely knocking, the 2 softly went in. The hall was quite large, but there were many people already in it. At the head of the hall were Zayan's and the 3 emotionless elders. They were the clan elders and had equal importance to the clan leader. On the left, but below the 4, were the elders from the clan. These elders did not hold much power as the clan elders, but nevertheless they were quite a bit of a say and weren't pushovers. Besides, these elders were young men that showed promise and talent. On the other side, the 3 strangers looked. There were people that Zayan's foretold last night. The young man's eyes widened and swept through the strangers. Of the 3, there was an elder wearing a moon-white outfit. Although the elder was all smiles, his teeny eyes were full of energy, restlessness. Scanning the room, Zayan slightly dipped lower, stopping at the elder's chest. On his chest was a silver moon, and beside the moon were 7 shiny stars. 7-star Da Duoshi. This guy's a 7-star Da Duoshi's. Incredible. Zhao Yao could barely refrain from casting at the elders. The elder was stronger than his own father. In fact, he was 2 whole stars stronger. Although that became a Da Duoshi was at least a power to be reckoned with. With that kind of strength, most places would probably rush for recruitment. To be able to see such a powerful person, it's not surprising that Zayan was shocked. Besides, the elder was a young couple. They were also wearing white moon robes. The male was about 20 years old and had a handsome face, coupled with a strong build. He was definitely the ideal type for any girl. Of course, the most important thing was on his chest was 5 golden stars. This represented the strength of a young man, 5-star Daozi. To be able to become a 5-star Daozi at the age of 20 definitely shows the exceptional talent of the young man. With a handsome face and a decent strength, this young man not only became the target of stares from young girls in the clan, even Zalmer occasionally sent glances at him. But the looks that the girls gave had no effect on the young man. His entire focus was concentrated on the young girl beside him. The young girl's age was similar to Zaoyan, which made Zaoyan flinch. Her beauty even rivaled Zalmer's. No, she was prettier than Zalmer. In the entire clan, probably only Zhao Zui'er could rival her. No wonder the guards of the Zhao clan chased girls around the clan. On the intricate ear of the young girl was a green jade earrings. As she moved around, the pieces of jade clinked together, chirping a beautiful melody and adding a hint of royalty to the girl. In addition to the developing chest of the girl was 3 golden stars, a 3-star Daze. This girl, if she didn't use any special methods, she would be a credible genius. Zaoyan's heart fell. She had talent rivaling his former talent, but Zaoyan forced his eyes away from the cold beauty. No matter what, beneath Zaoyan's... Okay, they keep changing his name, that's a bit interesting. Zaoyan's immature appearance was a mature soul. Although the girl was very pretty, he kept himself from acting like a drooling slob. Zaoyan's actions caused a slight tension within the girl. Although she wasn't the kind that had the entire universe revolving around her, beauty and appearance wasn't bad. Zaoyan's random glances over her was a first for her. Father 3 elders walking quickly, Zaoyan courteously greeted the Zaozan and the 3 elders. Haha, Zaoyan, you came. Come sit. Seeing Zaoyan's arrival, Zaozan stopped talking to his guest and nodded in the direction of Zaoyan, waving his hand to indicate for Zaoyan to take a seat. With a slight smile, Zaoyan ignored the lazy, almost hateful glances from the 3 clan elders and searched for his seat. But he was surprised at the result. He didn't have a seat. Haha, my position in the clan is just sinking lower and lower. It was better before, but now they even embarrass me in front of our guests, these old geezers. Zaoyan ridiculed himself silently. In his mind, he shook his head as if it could block the emotions that welled up within him. Looking at the motionless Zaoyan, the young clan members let out a soft, mocking laughter, showing their happiness at seeing the young Zaoyan made a fool. Finally, Zan realized Zaoyan's predicament. A look of anger flashed across his face before replaced with a bent eyebrow. Second elder, you. Oh, really sorry. I can't believe that I forgot about young master. I'll go get someone to prepare a chair. The yellow-robed elder smiled at the staring Zaozan and patted his forehead in an act of self-criticism, but the belittling look in his eyes didn't fade. Brother Zaoyan, come sit here. The clear voice of the girl rang across the hall. In the corner, Zaozan closed the thick book in her lap and blinked at Zaoyan. Looking at Zaozan's smiling face, Zaoyan froze for a second. Quickly he recovered, and after touching his nose, he walked towards Zana. Under the envious gaze of the surrounding clan members, and after what seemed like the longest few seconds, he plopped next to Zana. Zaoyan whispered, "Thanks for rescuing me." Thanks, you've rescued me. Zana slightly smiled. 2 small dimples appeared on her face. Her slender fingers flipped open the book in front of her. Even though she was extremely young, there was an air of intellectually, I don't know how you use that, air of intellectuality around her. That's an interesting way to say that. After scanning through the page, Zana suddenly complained, "Brother Zaoyan, you haven't sat beside me alone for the 3 years now, right? You're a genius in the clan, isn't it simple for you to you're a genius in the clan, isn't it simple for you if you wanted friends?" Looking at the resentful faces, Zaoyan drily laughed. The thing is, a certain someone stuck into my room last night when I was 4 to 6, and then the certain someone used a clumsy technique and weak Dazakir to strengthen my bones and meridians. Every time that same person would get himself would get himself sweating profusely before leaving. Brother Zayan, do you know who he is? Zana paused for a moment and suddenly tilted her head and smiled towards Zayan. How am I supposed to know? I was so young back then. In fact, I could barely walk. How could I know? How would I know? Zayan's heart began to beat violently, forcing open a smile. Zayan guiltily turned his gaze to the center of the hall. Looking at Zayan's reaction, a slight smile floated on Zana's face. Her sight moved back to the book on her lap, and as if talking to herself, she said, even though I know that person did it in goodwill, I'm a girl, right? How can I let someone carelessly touch me? If I ever find out who did it, Zayan's mouth began to twitch violently. Keeping his sight straight, he shut his mouth tight. Alright, that's chapter 3. Let's move on to chapter 3. Oh, it's gonna be a long, or chapter 4 I mean, it's gonna be a long thing. Okay. Oh, chapter 4. Faction of the Misty Clouds. In the main hall, Zayan's and the the clan elders were taking... Let's just fresh start from chapter 4. In the main hall, Zayan's and the 3 clan elders were talking excitedly with the strange elder. The guests seemed to have something weighing on their mind, yet every time it would seem as if they were about to broach the subject, he would swallow back the words and change the subject. Each time he did this, the delicate girl next to him would give the elder a subtle yet firm glance. After listening on their conversation for a while, Zayan was bored by their conversation, and his head was slowly drooping. Brother Zayan, do you know who they are? Right when Zayan was about to fall asleep from boredom, Zana, who was beside him, opened her ancient book and asked Zayan, do you know? Zayan curiously looked at Zana. Did you see the symbol of a silver sword with the clouds on the cuff of their robes? Zana said with a light smile. Oh. Zayan looked towards the cuffs on the 3, and indeed he clearly saw the embroidered symbol of the sword sparkling in the clouds. They are from the faction of the Misty Clouds, Zayan asked in bewilderment. Even though Zayan had never gone out into the real world, he had read from the book about this faction. Zayan's clan lived in the city named Wu Tan City, which was the part of the Jiama Empire. Even though the city is listed as being one of the bigger clans within the Jiama Empire, it was still dwarfed by the size of the empire. Despite having a magic mountain behind it, within the city itself, Zayan's clan was the biggest. Besides the Zaya clan, there was 2 other clans that competed with the Zaya clan, but even after 24 years of blood and strife, they were unable to overtake the Zaya clan. If the Zaya clan was the strongest power in the Wu Tan City, then the faction of the Misty Clouds would be the strongest power in the entire Jiama Empire. The difference between the Zaya clan and the faction of the Misty Clouds was enormous, to the point where Zayan's father, Zayan, who normally kept a strict and harsh face, was extremely respectful in front of these guests. Why are they here? Zayan whispered. Zana's slimmer fingers paused. Maybe it's related to you, Brother Zayan. Me, but I don't have any relationship with them. Hearing Zana's response, Zayan paused before shaking his head and whispering back, do you know the name of the girl up there? Yana's glanced at the girl. No, do you? Zayan furrowed his brows as he explained the face of the girl Zana pointed out. He cannot recall ever having seen her before. She's Nalan Yunran. Yunran. A curious expression floated on Yana's face. Zayan's face stiffened. Nalan Yunran? Yunran? Nalan Yunran? That's an annoying name to say. For me, anyway. The granddaughter of the Nalan G. That's so annoying. The Lionheart commander of the Jayama's empire. She's my fiancée that was set between our families before I was born. Grandfather and Nalan Ji were like blood brothers, and at the time, you and Nalan Yunren, I guess that's pretty easy to say, were born around the same time. So the two decided that you guys would get married. But unfortunately, 3 years after you were born, grandfather died in a fight with a clan enemy, and as time passed, Zaya's clan relation with the Nalan families became weaker. Zano's paused for and looked at Zayan. He was absorbed in the Zano story. Nalanji is not only arrogant, he also puts extreme emphasis on promises. The marriage was decided by him, so even though your name has been quite bad in the past few years, he has never once thought of annulling the marriage. That geezer sure is quite obstinate, Zayan smiled. LNG has the final say in all matters within the family, so even though he really is fond of his granddaughter, no one in the family has stepped up to oppose the marriage. Zano's beautiful eyes lightly glanced at Zayan before continuing, but 5 years ago, Nalan Yunren became a student under the faction leader of the Mystic Clouds. In these 5 years, Nalan Yunren demonstrated incredible talent. When a person has incredible power to change the path of their life, they would try their hardest to change things that they don't like, and unfortunately, she absolutely hates her promised marriage with brother Zayan. You're saying that she came to cancel the marriage? Zayan's face darkened at this moment. He was furious, not because Nalan Yunren did not want him as her husband, but rather because Nalan Yunren is trying to cancel the marriage with the entire clan present. If that happens, then his father would lose much of his dignity and respect within the clan. Zayan slowly breathed the cold air, calming his raging thoughts. Within his sleeve, Zayan curled his fist, thinking, if I was a douchey who would dare to trample over my dignity. It was true, if Zayan was a dasher, then even if Nalan Yunren had the backing of the faction of the Mystic Clouds, she would not be able to do such a thing. A 15-year-old dasher, there would only be a few that had such high accomplishments in the entire history of the Dazki mainland. And the few people that were at the level when they were young, and now the most influential people in the entire Dazki world. A small, fragile hand cleverly evaded Zhao sleeve and held onto Zayan's hands. Zano softly said, Brother Zayan, if she really came to cancel the marriage, then that's her loss. I believe that in a couple of years she will be regretting her decisions today. Regret? Zayan sneered. With my current abilities, I don't have that kind of luxury. Zayan paused before changing the tone of her voice. Wait, Zayan, how are you so familiar with them? The things that you've just said, my father might not be able to know some of them. How do you know all these? Yano stiffened but did not say anything. Looking at Zua's avoidance on the subject, Zayan could only helplessly smile. Even though Zano was also part of the Zaya family, she was Zayan, and she and Zayan didn't have any relation by blood. In addition, Zayan had never seen Zano's parents, and every time he asked his father about them, Zayan would shake his head and not speak. Soon Zano's parents became taboo subjects, something that they seemed to fear speaking about. For Zayan, Zano's identity was always veiled in mystery. No matter how hard or cleverly he tried, Zano would always stay silent. Ugh. Whatever. If you don't want to say it, then don't. Shaking his head, Zayan's face suddenly darkened again. The guest elder, under the repeated signals from Nalan Yunren, finally stood up. Using the faction of the Mystic Clouds to preserve pressure father, this Nalan Yunren certainly is using some shameless tactics. Fear began to build within Zayan's heart. Alright, that's the end of the last chapter I'll be reading today. I was gonna see if we can do some predictions of where it's gonna go, but I might even leave this to another episode. I can easily make a video out of that, I'd reckon, because we've got a pretty good prediction of what's going to happen. But, well, maybe not actually. We've pretty much seen a lot of things we need to see. So, the ring that he's wearing has got some special attribute. I'm guessing that's what he's going to be, his plot armor. Looks like, Nolan Runlin. Her name's Yun Run. Nolan Runlin. Her name's just really annoying to say. That's just Chinese things for you though, I guess. But so we can say it wasn't any other the other girls I was saying in the previous episode. It was actually this person that was his fiance. So it didn't happen immediately. It happened in the 4th chapter or 3rd chapter. So it's pretty interesting. So it's looking like that. Zua's got some interesting parents, and looks like they're going to have like a relationship in the future. And the next episode, kinda is for us, I should say, but looks like there's going to be some clenching, curling of the fist, I should say. Maybe some blood will be drawn. Maybe there's going to be a big drama surrounding it. But that won't be much of a problem, because the more trials and tribulations that the main character faces, generally the better rewards they receive. And so far he's definitely seems to be getting a beauty. It's just referring to the synopsis of the story. Anyway, I'm just going to leave that for the end. This is the end of the episode, and if you like it, please tell me, and I might continue to do more. I might stop eventually, depending on if it's getting any traction or not. So until next episode, which is going to be probably another 3 chapters, or 2, maybe. I'll probably do 2 or I don't know, 3 we'll probably do, and just leave like a small what we're going to see from into the future. All right.